What oral history stories and journal articles did I read? The oral history tales that I read are Why the Sun and Moon Live in the Sky and The Dance for Water for Rabbit's Trump. These are African folk tales that are based on long oral history traditions. That is, they were passed down orally rather than being written. The journal article that I read was about how oral histories are used by historians to learn about the past. It explained how oral histories are important because they help maintain culture, traditions, and beliefs throughout groups of people and just people who don't have time to write things down, or maybe they choose not to write things down. It's just how how they flow, which just helps maintain culture and tradition, like I said. The oral history tales and the journal articles showed how storytelling is an important way for people to share knowledge with each other. Instead of writing it down, they're just sharing knowledge one-on-one. Oral historians... Oh, on to the second question. What could be useful in using oral historians in writing about the past? Oral historians are very useful when it comes to writing about the past because they show personal experience and help people gain more insight about how people lived in the past. Unlike textbooks, which are generally written about important events and facts that have happened in history, oral histories show emotions, people's opinions, and how people live their day in their daily lives. For example, in the oral history tales that I read, the tales show people important lessons about how they should behave or how they should not behave. These are important because they show what kind of values a certain culture has. Oral histories are also important because they help to give a voice to people who have otherwise gone unheard in history, such as the average people or of a certain culture of people. What could be inaccurate with just using oral histories? Even though oral histories are very useful, it must also be said that it could be inaccurate if it's the only thing being used. This is because it's only based on memory. People might forget things, get them mixed up, and even exaggerate certain things without realizing it. Because it's very easy to do, like just add details that didn't happen, or even miss out on big important details. Also, over the course of time, stories might get altered as it's passed down through the course of generations. In fact, it might even turn out to be a myth rather than a history. The story Why the Sun and the Moon Live in the Sky is obviously not a history, but a myth written to explain something in a creative way. This goes to show that oral histories are not always meant to be taken literally, and they might not always be perfectly accurate. What types of data or items can be used to support oral histories? In order to make the oral history more reliable, historians also use other forms of history to back it up. These forms of history include written history, such as letters, diaries, and official documents, which contain more factual information about anything that's happened in the past. Photographs, videos may also be helpful in getting a view or how people, or maybe even a place, looked in the past. Other forms of history may include artifacts such as tools, cloths, buildings, anything like that. That they can study and find out how long ago they were from or how they were used, which may serve as physical evidence of how people lived in the past. Newspaper articles and official documents are also helpful since they contain information of the period when they were written or printed while everything was actually going on. Thank you.